shocking secret revealed: Dylan is Katie's biological daughter. On the coming explosive chapter of The Bold and the Beautiful, Los Angeles is rocked by a disclosure so shocking that it threatens to permanently fracture the Logan and Spencer families. Dylan is Katie's natural son. What began as a quiet turnabout of dubitation. Whispers about timelines that didn't relatively add up, about sanitarium records that were sealed too tightly, about Katie's moping, nearly motherly protectiveness toward Dylan, erupts into full-bloated chaos when the verity is eventually dragged into the light. For weeks, observers have watched Dylan struggle with her identity, feeling like a mystification piece forced into the wrong box, seeing that commodity about her history was deficient. Raised believing one story about her origins, she has carried a subtle pang, a sense that her connection to certain members of the Logan family felt deeper than coexistence. Meanwhile, Katie has been unraveling internally, visited by a secret she buried times ago during one of the most vulnerable chapters of her life, a time marked by heartache, fear, and insolvable choices. The stunner drops during what was meant to be a simple family gathering at the Forrester Manse, an event attended by Brooke, Donna, and several crucial players whose lives are ever altered in a matter of twinkles. Katie, pale and visibly shaken, eventually confesses that times ago she gave birth to a son under circumstances clouded by emotional fermentation and pressure, and that child was Dylan. The room falls silent as the weight of her words sinks in. Brooke is stupefied, Donna is in gashes, and Dylan stands frozen, her entire understanding of herself shifting in a moment. The fallout is immediate and merciless. Questions fly: who knew? Who helped keep this secret? Why was Dylan kept in the dark? Katie explains through heartbreaks that she believed she was guarding her son from reproach, from the insecurity that girdled her life at the time, and from the shadow of important names tied to her own complicated romantic history. There are hints that the father's identity could open another Pandora's box, potentially linking Dylan to the Spencer dynasty in ways no bone anticipated. Bill Spencer's name is rumored with growing intensity, and though he originally denies knowledge, his response suggests there may be more buried beneath his steely countenance. Dylan, overwhelmed, storms out, scuffling with treason, not only from Katie but from everyone who may have suspected the verity and said nothing. Her heartache is palpable. She feels burgled of time she could have spent knowing her mama, erecting recollections rather of living a half-verity. Katie follows, hopeless to explain, averring that every decision she made was embedded in love, still deceived. The emotional battle between mama and son becomes one of the most important scenes of the season, concentrated with remorse, wrathfulness, craving, and an inarguable bond that neither can deny despite the deception. Brooke, ever the family dame, attempts to intervene, prompting compassion and reminding Dylan that the Logan women have always fought fiercely for their children, indeed when they faltered. Yet remission is fluently granted. The disclosure also sends shockwaves through Dylan's romantic life. However, connections once supposed respectable could suddenly come complicated, if her lineage ties her near to the Spencers. Musketeers begin to question whether once alliances were intentionally shaped by blood connections rather than fate. Ridge watches the chaos unfold with concern, fating that secrets of this magnitude infrequently face without collateral damage. At Forrester Creations, the pressure bleeds into the plant. Whispers circulate, alliances shift, and old battles flare as the counteraccusations of Dylan's true lineage ripple outward. Katie's concession forces her to defy her own history of tone mistrustfulness and fear, and she vows to spend the rest of her life earning her son's trust. Dylan, meanwhile, embarks on a trip of detection, determined to reclaim her narrative and decide for herself what this verity means. In private moments, she studies old photos of Katie, seeing familiar expressions imaged in her own reflection, realizing that some connections cannot be cancelled by secretiveness. The plot delves deeply into themes of identity, fatherhood, and the cost of silence, reminding observers why The Bold and the Beautiful remains a masterclass in emotional liar. As further details crop, including hints that sanitarium staff were sworn to secretiveness, and that another family member may have orchestrated the cover-up to avoid reproach, the drama intensifies. Donna grapples with guilt for suspecting the verity but choosing fidelity over battle. Brooke questions whether the Logan sisters' defensive instincts occasionally cross into destructive home. Indeed, Bill finds himself forced to examine one's opinions, wondering whether his grim drive for control contributed to a chain response that deprived him of knowing his own child if indeed he's the father. The followership is left breathless as the narrative teases farther exposures. A retired letter Katie wrote the night Dylan was born, DNA results that could confirm or complicate the maternity riddle, and an apocalyptic showdown that promises to review family bonds. Through gashes, allegations, and raw admissions, mama and son inch toward a fragile understanding, proving that while secrets can shatter trust, the verity, no matter how painful, can also be the first step toward mending. As the dust begins to settle from Katie's earth-shattering confession, the emotional foreshocks continue to ripple through every corner of Los Angeles, proving formerly again why the bold and the beautiful thrives on secrets that refuse to stay buried. Dylan spends the night alone in her apartment, replaying every commerce she's ever had with Katie through a new, disorienting lens. Every encouraging word, every defensive regard, every unexplained moment of intensity now feels loaded with meaning. The consummation that her aunt was actually her mama reshapes her recollections in ways both beautiful and ruinous. She remembers the times Katie defended her in subtle ways, the way her voice would soften when offering advice, the gashes she formerly brushed off as saccharinity. Now Dylan sees the verity beneath those gestures. Motherly love disguised as domestic affection, but love wrapped in deception still cuts deep. She feels betrayed not just by Katie, but by fate itself. Meanwhile, Katie is unraveling. Alone at the Logan estate, she clutches an old memorial box she hasn't opened in times. Inside are sanitarium irons, ultrasound prints, and a letter she wrote the night Dylan was born. Words soaked in heartache and fear. In that letter, she described the insolvable choice she felt forced to make. At the time, her life was unstable, her heart shattered by romantic treason and public reproach. She believed her son merited a fresh launch, free from the chaos girding the Logan and Spencer names. Giving Dylan up still, arranging for her to be raised under a precisely constructed story, felt like immolation. But now she must defy the reality that silence can be just as damaging as reproach. Brooke struggles with her own guilt. As Katie's family, she had tasted commodity times ago, an implied grief that dallied long after Katie apparently moved on from that chapter of her life. Brooke remembers asking gentle questions, only to be met with deviation. She chose not to push. Now she wonders if her silence enabled the deception. Donna, too, renewals moments in her mind when Katie's protectiveness toward Dylan sounded too violent to be casual. The Logan sisters are forced to defy a painful verity. Their fierce fidelity to one another occasionally comes at the cost of translucency. At Spencer Publications, pressure crackles in the air. Bill Spencer paces his office, jaw tight, eyes stormy. His name has been rumored as the possible father, and while no evidence has surfaced, the timeline is distrustfully aligned with a tumultuous period in his relationship with Katie. He recalls heated arguments, passionate rapprochements, and one night in particular that neither of them ever bandied again. Could that night have redounded in Dylan? The possibility rattles him further than he wants to admit. Bill is a man who thrives on control, and the idea that he might have intentionally sired a son shakes the foundation of his identity. However, he mistimes birthdays, mileposts if Dylan is his child. The study gnaws at him. Dylan, hopeless for clarity, demands a DNA test. She refuses to let rumors define her verity. The battle between her and Bill is electric. She storms into his office, eyes blazing, demanding answers he cannot yet give. Bill, protective but visibly shaken, agrees to the test. For the first time, the important media Napoleon looks vulnerable. The scene captures a rare crack in his armor. A man defying the possibility of lost motherhood. The staying period for the DNA result stretches like an eternity. During this time, Dylan and Katie tentatively begin to talk. Their exchanges are raw and uneven. Dylan oscillates between wrathfulness and craving. She wants to scream at Katie for stealing her of a nonage with her mama, yet she also feels an inarguable pull toward her. Biology is important. There's comfort in seeing her own erraticisms imaged in Katie's gestures. In a quiet moment, they sit across from each other, studying their hands, their grins, their participated expressions. It's inarguable, they belong to one another. Katie opens up about the fear that guided her decision. At the time, she felt overshadowed by Brooke's dramatic loves and Donna's glamorous presence. She felt small, uncertain, alarmed that she couldn't give stability. The idea of raising a child under grim public scrutiny frightened her. She believed obscurity was protection. But as she confesses this, she acknowledges that fear mandated her conduct further than courage did. Away enterprise spreads like campfire. At Forrester Creations, whispers circulate in design meetings. Ridge expresses concern about how this reproach might affect the company's image. Steffi questions whether the Verity will destabilize the delicate balance between the Logan and Spencer families. Indeed, Hope finds herself caught in the emotional crossfire, empathizing with Dylan while prompting tolerance. The professional world intertwines with the particular, as it so frequently does in their glamorous yet unpredictable circle. The DNA results eventually arrive in a sealed envelope that feels heavier than paper should. The scene is intimate. Dylan, Katie, and Bill gathered in a quiet room, pressure thick enough to suffocate. When the envelope is opened, the Verity is revealed. Bill is indeed Dylan's natural father. Silence follows. Bill's confident surface shatters as the weight of misplaced times crashes down on him. Katie covers her mouth, gashes discovering freely. Dylan feels the ground shift again beneath her bases. Not only has she discovered her mama, she's uncovered her father too. The fate is explosive. Bill demands to know why Katie kept this from him. His wrathfulness masks deep hurt. Katie fires back, reminding him of the chaos of their relationship at the time, of the ruthless business battles and emotional volatility. She stressed he'd fight for control, not cooperation. The argument is fierce, concentrated with undetermined history. But beneath the allegations lies inarguable grief for time lost. Dylan watches them argue, realizing that her actuality was formerly a battlefield. She steps in, asserting her autonomy. She refuses to be reduced to an armament in their once war. Her strength surprises both of them. In that moment, she reclaims her narrative. She tells Bill that if he wants a relationship with her, it must be erected on respect, not dominance. She tells Katie that rebuilding trust will take time, but she's willing to try, because despite everything, she feels the love that was always there. Brooke and Donna rally around Katie, offering support while admitting miscalculations. The sisters partake an emotional grasp, covenanting that no further secrets will divide them. The Logan bond, though tested, remains flexible. Bill begins making sweats to connect with Dylan. He shares stories of his own nonage, revealing vulnerabilities infrequently seen. Their early relations are awkward but sincere. He attends a small gallery event featuring Dylan's work, standing still in the reverse, pride apparent in his eyes. It's a subtle gesture but meaningful. The plot deepens as Dylan grapples with integrating two important patrimonies, the Logan warmth and the Spencer intensity. She reflects on how both traits live within her. She recognizes Katie's empathy in her own compassion, and Bill's determination in her ambition. Rather of feeling torn, she begins to feel whole. Yet not all responses are probative. Old rivals see occasion in the chaos. Rumors resurface about once dishonors. Questions arise about who differently might have known. A former sanitarium director hints at external pressure to keep records sealed, suggesting that someone influential assured the secret remained buried. This action adds another subcast of conspiracy, inferring that Katie may not have acted entirely alone. As weeks pass, the emotional injuries begin to scar over, though not without pain. Family feasts are conditional but hopeful. Exchanges formerly filled with pressure soften into conservative horselaugh. Dylan starts calling Katie Mama in private, the word fragile but important. The first time she says it, Katie breaks down in gashes, overwhelmed by gratefulness. The disclosure eventually reshapes every relationship it touches. It forces characters to defy their once opinions and choose whether to let remorse define them, or to embrace redemption. In classic cleaner pieces fashion, the drama is heightened, but the feelings remain predicated in universal trueness: the craving for identity, the pang of lost time, and the transformative power of honesty. By the time the plot reaches its emotional top, observers substantiation a readdressed family dynamic. Dylan stands stronger than ever, no longer searching for where she belongs. She belongs with the Logans. She belongs with the Spencers. Most importantly, she belongs to herself. And as the camera kissers over a family gathering, a miss complicated, but united, it's clear that while secrets may shake foundations, Verity has the power to rebuild them stronger than a head, icing that the heritage of the bold and the beautiful continues to allure with stories of love, treason, and eventually adaptability. In the weeks following the maternity evidence, life in Los Angeles doesn't return to normal, it transforms. On the bold and the beautiful, metamorphosis is no way quiet. It's dramatic, layered, and deeply particular. Dylan finds herself standing at the center of a heritage she no way asked for, yet one that now defines her in ways both empowering and frightening. Being the natural son of Katie Logan and Bill Spencer isn't just a disclosure, it's a recalibration of her entire identity. The media storm hits first. Though the family tries to keep the matter private, word leaks through the social conduit that always seems to hang around the Logans and Spencers. Captions presume about the retired descendant and Spencer's secret daughter. Bill's challengers subtly weaponize the news, suggesting insecurity within his conglomerate. Katie, defensive as ever, fears Dylan will be swallowed by the same grim scrutiny she formerly tried to shield her from. Dylan still surprises everyone. Rather of retreating, she steps forward. In a poised but sincere statement, she confirms her lineage while asserting her independence. She makes it clear she isn't seeking power or heritage, she is seeking verity and connection. Her countenance earns admiration across social circles, and indeed critics concede that she carries herself with Logan grace and Spencer sword. Intimately, however, Dylan struggles. Identity reconstruction isn't flawless. She begins remedy, defying the emotional whiplash of learning her life was erected on illusion. She explores the grief of lost times, birthday candles her mama no way blew out beside her, academy plays her father no way attended. The therapist guides her through a pivotal consummation while time cannot be reclaimed. The future remains verbal. Katie throws herself into rebuilding trust. She invites Dylan to partake small, everyday just coffee runs, design consultations, quiet afterlife flipping through old family compendiums. In one poignant scene, Katie shows Dylan prints from her gestation that she intimately kept. Seeing those images, Dylan breaks down. She realizes her mama no way truly let her go emotionally. The separation was physical, but the love was constant. Bill, in his own way, begins evolving too. Oriented to commanding boardrooms, he now faces the humbling task of earning his son's trust. He starts small, daily lunches, thoughtful textbooks, asking questions rather than giving directives. He listens further than he speaks. One autumn, he confesses that getting a father to her now feels like the topmost challenge of his life, not because he doubts his love, but because he regrets his absence. The Logan sisters rally tighter than ever. Brooke urges Katie not to drown in guilt. Donna reminds her that fatherhood isn't defined solely by propinquity. It's defined by devotion. The sisters host a private family regale to formally welcome Dylan as Katie's son. It's intimate and emotional. Brooke offers a toast about alternate chances. Donna jokes through gashes that she always suspected Dylan had Logan sparkle. Horse laugh mingles with gashes, healing sutured together moment by moment. Yet drama simmers beneath the face. A former associate of Bill's hints that someone within Spencer Publications may have known about the gestation times agone. Dubitation turns toward Justin Barber, Bill's fiercely pious confidant. Did he uncover the verity and bury it to cover Bill's character? When brazened, Justin admits he formerly saw irregularities in old lines but chose not to pursue them. His fidelity to Bill overbalanced curiosity. Bill is furious not only at Justin, but at himself for fostering in terrain where verity felt secondary to power. Meanwhile, Dylan's romantic life grows complicated. Suitors who formerly saw her as independent now question what her lineage means. Some are bullied by the Spencer name, others are intrigued for the wrong reasons. Dylan snappily learns to distinguish genuine affection from opportunistic interest. Her strength shines through as she refuses to let her family's influence mandate her heart. At Forrester Creations, Ridge and Steffi dissect the implicit ripple goods of Dylan's new status. As both a Logan and a Spencer, she holds emblematic weight in a decades-long contest. Could she come aground between feuding families or a new point of contention? Unexpectedly, Dylan expresses interest in uniting on a charity fashion line, blending Logan compassion with Spencer ambition. The design garners wide support, reframing her identity from reproach to substance. Katie faces one final reckoning when Dylan asks about the exact moment she decided to keep the verity hidden. In a quiet, emotionally raw discussion, Katie admits she stressed losing Dylan to guardianship battles or media chaos. She stressed Bill's intensity, her own instability, and the grim limelight. She believed obscurity equaled safety. Dylan listens precisely and responds with grace, "You were spooked. I understand that. But coming time, choose courage." The words land vocally but forcefully. Bill, determined not to repeat once miscalculated.